We like to call these things modeling how we adapt to situations. Good modeling for our students to show that, hey, sometimes things don't go perfect.
We also call this a learning opportunity.
Learning. And we did have a great presentation this afternoon that was viewed by over 500 students. So just to let everyone know that the word is getting out, and this is an important message.
So I'm not sure. Dr. Perella, can you see us live on YouTube? Because I can't simultaneously.
Yes, I can. I can see us live on YouTube. We have school viewers right now.
Okay.
This is on the Revere Public School School Committee YouTube.
Okay. All right. So let's continue forward. I apologize.
No,
Dr. Kong, I interrupted you. I'm sorry.
No problem. No, I was pretty much wrapping up. So we'll turn it over to Lauren.
Hi, everyone. I'm glad that you guys are all here tonight. As Dr. Kong mentioned, my name is Lauren Buck. I am the Director of Public Health for the City of Revere. My background is I've been a nurse for quite a while now. So one of the first things that I want to talk to you about is finding good sources of information when you are making a decision about getting a vaccine, either for yourself or for your child or the students at RPS. There's a lot of information out there, and it's important that you look to the right sources when you are making the decision. We hope tonight is going to be one of those sources for you. Dr. Kong, Dr. Goldfarb, and myself have been dealing with COVID and specifically the COVID vaccines for quite a while. And so we hope that we are a good resource for you tonight, but we're not the only resource. And so I wanted to direct you to a couple of other places you can go for good evidence-based researched information to help you make a decision. The first place I want to direct you to is the CDC website actually has a page. It's called Myths and Facts About the COVID-19 Vaccine. If you Google that phrase, it will be the first a link that pops up. It's a really, really good source of information about the COVID-19 vaccines that are out there. That comes straight from the science. Another good resource that you could reference is the Harvard Health blog. There's a lot of Harvard resources out there, but if you Google Harvard Health blog COVID-19 vaccines, this has some really good information as well. You can read both of these websites and get some more information. And all of this is saying these are not the only two sources of information, but these are two really legitimate, good sources where you can go to kind of, like I said, there's a lot of noise, there's a lot of news articles. Go right to the science, go right to the facts, and these are two good resources for that. So that's the first thing I wanted to point out, and you can move to the next slide, Dr. Kong. Speaking of good information and kind of putting things in perspective, this is a slide that we just wanted to talk quickly about the Johnson & Johnson vaccine that we've been hearing so much about. Now, the Pfizer vaccine is the vaccine that is targeted for 16 and 17-year-olds. 18 and over can get the Johnson & Johnson vaccine. As you all know, there was a pause on the Johnson & Johnson vaccine because of blood clots. And the CDC and actually a panel of very smart doctors met to decide the benefits and risks about continuing to use the Johnson & Johnson vaccine. Because of, and this is exactly how the process is supposed to work. And they determined that the benefits of a Johnson & Johnson vaccine still outweigh the risks. As long as everyone knows that there are some risks associated, with every medicine we take, as with every vaccine we take, as with every activity we do, risks and benefit comes along with that. So this is just illustrating. There was a lot of news stories about the clotting issues with Johnson & Johnson. This just gives a brief overview of the clotting risks associated with each of these 4 very common things we know, right? The Johnson & Johnson vaccine is on the top left of your screen. The risk of getting a clot is very, very small. It's like, I think 11, 12-ish in 7 million cases. The risk of birth control pills, we know there's a clotting risk associated with those as well. That risk is even a little bit higher than getting a Johnson & Johnson vaccine. Cigarette smoking, we know there's clotting risks associated with that. That's even higher. And then the real striking one is if you actually have COVID-19, the risk of getting a clot is very high. And so it just puts it into perspective that there's risks and benefits to everything that we do. But sometimes, you have to put everything into perspective. And this is just one example of that. You can move to the next slide. So Dr. Kong mentioned, kind of why we're talking to you tonight, why the state, why the country, why the world is trying to get more and more vaccinations. That concept of herd immunity was very well explained by Dr. Kong. We all have to move in the same direction. We all have to swim in the same direction. I used a reference with the students about the movie Finding Nemo. There's a scene where there's a bunch of fish in a net and they don't want to be caught. So what do? They all swim down in the same direction. That's what herd immunity is. All of us moving in the same direction, all of us getting vaccinated, and we break the net, we break the cycle of COVID infections. That's what we want to move towards. Why? So we can do things like go to Fenway again without wearing masks. So we can travel with our families again. So high school seniors, we can go on school trips. We can travel to our family. We can, we all want to do these things again. We can go to movie theaters again without worrying. We all have to get there. We all need to, and 16 and 17-year-olds are part of achieving that goal and making sure that they're fully protected as well. They're not the people traditionally who have had the most side effects or have been the most sick from this illness. It doesn't mean that it's less important for your 16 and 17-year-olds to get vaccinated. And you can move to the next slide. So the last thing I want to talk about is logistics. If you're here, I hope you're considering getting your 16 or 17-year-old vaccinated.